My name is Shazad, I'm 23 years old from Gadshill. My question is, what does Islam say about freedom of speech?
Okay, so this gives us a chance now to address the topic of freedom of speech, and I, as the chair's privilege, I guess, I get a chance to ask, can we make sure that we wrap up with something that we're calling the local community to? So it's not just the freedom of speech, but it's also what are we calling the local community to? I'll begin with Shiraz, and I'll move all the way along the chain.
Conscious of time, I'll answer that simply. In the hadith by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned, with regards to freedom of speech, a believer is one who does not hurt others with his hands or his tongue.
Fantastic.
Just don't curtail my freedom of speech to speak now, Hassan.
Preemptive strike on the way.
Jazakallah khair. You know, actually, there's no country in the world where you're free to speak wherever you want to. Okay? There's just not, doesn't exist. Every country, every society in the world has its limits. Okay, so there's no country where you can incite people to violence. In Britain, it's illegal to say racist things to people, and under the Public Order Act, if you do things like, you know, there's 2 policewomen were murdered in Manchester. Somebody put a Facebook, somebody made a T-shirt insulting them after they'd been murdered, and he was imprisoned for that. And I don't think many people would complain about that, because he can't claim free speech, although there is a group of people now that are saying that should be allowed to happen. Yeah. So as Muslims, we refer to Quran and Sunnah for what is our freedom or limit to speak. Okay, freedom to limit. So we don't swear, we don't backbite, we can't insult somebody else's religion. Did you know that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not allow you to ridicule and mock somebody else's religion. Okay, so, but from the very earliest time of Islam, we engaged in debate, discussion. The Anbiya, the prophets of Allah, they criticized the failings, the weaknesses of other religions and ideas that were prevalent in their time. They weren't silent on those things, but they didn't insult them, just like mocking and ridiculing and debasing them. Okay. If we have to do something here, brothers and sisters, if we have to do something in the UK, really, I said already we have to speak out, we've spoken out. I think any Muslims have spoken out. But if we have to do something, we have to take messages like the ones that the brothers who've organized this excellent stuff around here, out into the high street, out into the communities, amongst our Muslim communities and amongst non-Muslims. Because actually, you know what? That's an obligation on us, and never more so than now than at any other time in history, really. Never more so.
Jazakallah khairan. I've got a minute left for each of the next 2 speakers.
What
Imam
I would say is, again, that what the brother was saying, al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisani wa yadihi, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the quality of a Muslim is that from their tongue nobody is hurt, and from their hand in a physical way nobody is hurt. It means that what we got to do is change our attitude, change our approach, change our thought. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the establishment of the Khilafah in our house, outside the house, at each and every place, and inshallah struggle for that. Don't become emotional and excited. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can, and pray for me as well.
And the final word goes to Dr. Reza Pankhurst. You have 45 seconds.
I would just say that Islam has a fundamentally different basis from any other way of life. And it has its own set of rules and laws which are derived from the Quran and Sunnah. So actually we don't need to have the Western idea of freedom of speech or freedom of expression or any of these ideas. We have already defined for us inside the Quran and Sunnah a complete way of life which we need to adopt for ourselves and for our communities. And just for the wider community, I would say that the Muslims, it's our responsibility inside this country to engage inside the wider community and to explain to them the Islamic alternative. And what I mean when I say Islamic alternative, it means it's different. So we need to be able to say Islam is different from your way of life, and this is the alternative we have, and present it to them inside the best way possible, and to take them, inshallah, to offer them an alternative to the darkness of the empty materialism that people are living at this time, and to invite them, inshallah, to the light and the justice of Islam.
And that was 45 seconds. I'd like to, alhamdulillah, I'd like to thank not just the panelists, not just the audience, but also those who've allowed us to have this event take place.